Hi, everybody. The holiday season is a time for remembering the bonds we share and our obligations to one another as human beings. But right now, more than 1 million of our fellow Americans are poised to lose a vital economic lifeline just a few days after Christmas if Congress doesn't do something about it. Our top priority as a country should be restoring opportunity and broad-based economic growth for all Americans. And yesterday we learned that our businesses created about 200,000 jobs in the month of November. That's more than 8 million new jobs in the last 45 months. And the unemployment rate fell to its lowest level in 5 years. But we need to do everything we can to help businesses create more good jobs that pay good wages, even faster. Because the hole that we're still digging out of means that there's still millions of Americans looking for work, often because they've been laid off through no fault of their own. We also have to look out for the Americans working hard to get those jobs. That's why, as a country, we offer temporary unemployment insurance so that job seekers don't fall into poverty, and so that when they get that job, they can bounce back more quickly. For many families, it can be the difference between hardship and catastrophe. It makes a difference for a mother who suddenly doesn't know if she'll be able to put food on the table for her kids. It makes a difference for a father who lost his job and is looking for a new one. Last year alone, it lifted 2.5 million people out of poverty and cushioned the blow for many more. But here's the thing. If members of Congress don't act before they leave on their vacations, 1.3 million Americans will lose this lifeline. These are people we know. They're our friends and our neighbors. They sit next to us in church and volunteer in our communities. Their kids play with our kids. And they include 20,000 veterans who served this country with honor. If Congress refuses to act, it won't just hurt families already struggling. It will actually harm our economy. Unemployment insurance is one of the most effective ways there is to boost our economy. When people have money to spend on basic necessities, that means more customers for our businesses and ultimately more jobs. And the evidence shows that unemployment insurance doesn't stop people from trying hard to find work. Just this week, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office predicted that allowing benefits to expire will be a drag on our economic growth next year. A report by the Department of Labor and my Council of Economic Advisors estimated that it could cost businesses 240,000 jobs. And without the ability to feed their families or pay the bills, many people currently looking for work could stop looking for good. So extending unemployment insurance isn't just the right thing to do for our families. It's the smart thing to do for our economy. And it shouldn't be a partisan issue. For decades, Congress has voted to offer relief to job seekers, including when the unemployment rate was lower than it is today. But now that economic lifeline is in jeopardy, all because Republicans in this Congress, which is on track to be the most unproductive in history, have so far refused to extend it. So this holiday season, let's give our fellow Americans who are desperately looking for work the help they need to keep on looking. Let's make it easier for businesses to attract more customers and our economy to grow. And together, let's keep doing everything we can to make this country a place where anyone who works hard has a chance to get ahead. Thanks, everybody, and have a great weekend.
Ask unanimous consent to call the quorum be officiated.
Without objection.
I now ask unanimous consent the Senate proceed to calendar number 252, H.R. 3961, that the amendment at the desk be considered and agreed to, the bill be amended and be read third times passed, and motion to reconsider be laid on the table. Any statements relating to this matter appear at the appropriate place in the record as if read.
Is there objection?
Mr. President, reserving the right to object, and I am going to object. I believe this is the simple unemployment insurance extension. Is that?
That is true.
Is that the case? I would suggest another way to resolve the issue. I would ask that with respect to the House message on the CJS appropriations bill, that the motion to concur with an amendment be the Baucus-Grassley amendment, which was filed earlier today. Now, I know my friend and colleague is going to offer some scaled-down version of that shortly, but if we offered instead the Grassley-Baucus amendment, which was filed earlier today, that would include the unemployment extension. That was one of the features of that Baucus-Grassley amendment. So if this consent were granted, it would allow us to work on that package rather than the version that the leader of the majority is going to offer here shortly that includes only 4 of those provisions.
Mr. President, I don't accept the modification.
Let me just add that unemployment insurance does not expire until February the 28th. We'll be back on the 22nd, and hopefully we'll have sufficient time to work on an acceptable extension. But for many Americans, a terrible situation seems to have only gotten worse over the course of this administration. So for the president to turn around and try to blame his political opponents for the suffering we've seen out there, well, that takes a pretty good amount of nerve. It also assumes a collective case of national amnesia. It would take a collective case of national amnesia to reach those conclusions. Because remember, these are the same folks who gave us the stimulus, who gave us tax increases, who gave us Obamacare. All of it was done in the name of helping the little guy, in the name of greater equality. So what's it given us? It's given us this mess that we have in our country. Record numbers of long-term unemployed, record numbers on food stamps, people losing their health care plans, others seeing the premiums shoot up when they can least afford it, and now another call, one more call for a government fix. Washington Democrats have shown almost no interest for 5 years in working together on ways to create the kind of good, stable, high-paying jobs that people really want and need. This is a real disservice. First and foremost, to those who are struggling the most out there, from the college graduate who suddenly finds herself wondering why she's got huge student loan debts but no prospects of work, to the 50-year-old dad who's worked his whole adult life but suddenly can't find a job that meets either his needs or his potential. And yet this administration's proposed solution is just to slap another Band-Aid from Washington on it and call it a day. Yes, we should work on solutions to support those who are out of work through no fault of their own. But there's literally no excuse to pass unemployment insurance legislation without also finding ways to create good, stable, high-paying jobs and also trying to find the money to pay for it. So what I'm saying is, let's support meaningful job creation measures. And let's find a way to pay for these UI benefits so we're not adding to an already completely unsustainable debt. Unfortunately, the administration seems almost totally disinterested in solutions that don't put government in the lead. And it seems nearly incapable of working with those who don't share that belief. And that, in many ways, is precisely why we're in the situation we're in. Because it's only when you believe government is the answer to all of your problems that you talk about unemployment insurance instead of job creation, and the minimum wage instead of helping people reach their maximum potential. So it's time to get away from, quote, temporary government programs and give the American people the tools they need to drive an economy that truly works for them and for their families. We could start with one of the real bright spots in our economy, and that's energy, a field that's poised to help our economy create literally millions of jobs, if only the administration would get out of the way. Another area where we should be able to work together is health care. By almost any metric, affordability, accessibility, even the ratio of cancellations to enrollments, this law has imposed more pain and more distress than many had ever thought possible. Well, let me say this to our colleagues on the other side of the aisle. It's a new year and a time for new beginnings. So if you're ready to work with us, we're here. Together we can start over on health care. Together we can give the American people the kind of health reform they really deserve, reform that can lower costs and improve the quality of care. But just like with solving the problems of joblessness and unemployment, it's something we can only do together. Mr. President, I yield the floor.
Good morning, representatives. Good morning. My name is Lisa Floyd, and for nearly 14 years I've worked as Director of Volunteer Services, as mentioned, for an area nonprofit hospice which serves both West Virginia and Ohio. I have worked my entire adult life, having had 3 jobs my whole career, and I had never been unemployed until now.
I'm 67 years young, and I'm capable, fully able, and eager to work. I need to work. I love to work. It's who I am.
I was laid off in May 2013 due to lack of funding that was complicated by the sequester earlier in the year.
I have spent the majority of my waking hours looking for work. During this time, I was able to support myself because I received those vital unemployment insurance benefits.
Unemployment benefits have helped me scrape by week to week, and even with them, I'm not able to pay my portion of expenses for the apartment I share. Trying to find a job is a very difficult thing. Construction work is a hard find in the winter, and outside of my industry, from what I've seen, potential employers see my age and look right past me.
We have very little appreciable income coming in. In fact, it's just my state unemployment. That will end at the end of this week. So I am going to be one of those 1.3 million Americans on the EUC in 2013. And to face the fact that those benefits end at the end of this year is truly creating distress within me. I have very sleepless nights. I wake up with fears and tears. And I just don't know what I'm going to do.
Without unemployment insurance and the federal emergency benefits, I would have not been able to sustain myself in my job search. I could still buy groceries and pay my bills. My anxiety was kept to a manageable level, and I was able to keep sending out applications and going on interviews.
I still get up at 4:30 every morning. That's Saturdays and Sundays. I'm actively pursuing work through my union and elsewhere. Things should pick up for me in the spring, and I'm looking every day for hopes of getting something sooner because I hate not working.
And this fear is keeping me from moving forward and pursuing these activities and from pursuing my job search. But today I think I'm getting a new spark.
Now, in the 8th month of my job search, I'm happy to say that I have secured a job just 3 days ago. And although my new job pays much, much less than what I was making, it is a good job with a livable wage, and for that, I am very grateful.
If Congress lets the UEC program shut down, I won't be able to put gas in my car to even look for a job. Tell me how that's going to help me and help others like me get back to work. Don't allow them to shut this down.
Please invest in America. That's where you'll get results for the economy to grow.
I am an emergency unemployment compensation success story. Won't you please allow this to be America's story? Thank you.
Remember what the first George Bush called Ronald Reagan's financial plan, right? Voodoo economics. Well, welcome to the Republicans' 21st century version of it. Screw you, economics.